Yo, what up, y'all? Welcome to another episode of Source and Company. I'm your host, Source, of course. As always, you can follow me on Instagram and Twitter at Smitty Source on both of those. You can follow the podcast, Instagram, Source, the letter N, letter C, letter O, podcast, Source and Company, YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, all that good stuff. Subscribe to something, do something. Help me out, make me feel better. All right. Anyway, today's company is family first. She is also the Results Enthusiast, which we will find out more about. She is a real estate investor, and she is the founder of her nonprofit, Girls Like Me, which helps teen girls with self-esteem, among other things. Her name, Déja Coley. What up, Dej?
Hey.
How you doing?
I'm good. I'm good today.
Excellent. I'm glad you had time for me. Appreciate you joining me. Let's get into it.
Yes.
How have things been for you so far throughout? Same question I ask everybody pretty much. How have things been for you for the last 6 months or so, dealing with COVID and the changes in the world, specifically our area?
I think COVID has, I think like anything, things have their advantages and they have their disadvantages. And I think that it sucks that we can't go on vacations and travel and, do some of the things that we had planned for this year, like weddings and, it sucks that we can't do those things. But for me, like over the last couple of months, I've been able to rest, which is great because I never rest. But like when COVID first hit, and I think just because everybody was in such a shock, like when COVID first hit, I was just chilling. Like it felt great.
Yeah.
And so I got some rest. I picked up several new hobbies. I started doing like work around my house, which sounds like a crazy thing because there's really like no work to do. So I'm like finding stuff to just unscrew and like do something new to.
Right.
And then I've also been able to zero in on, after my rest period, of course, I was able to zero in on some of my work and really start to refocus and figure out where I want things to go and putting those things into motion. So, I mean, so far, I think it's been great. I think relationships have definitely been, built, tested, but built definitely. And, I think honestly, like in a cool, negative sort of kind of way, or I guess in a bad, positive kind of way, COVID has, it's helped us and it's hurt us. So yeah, but things have been okay for me the last couple of months.
That's good. I mean, yeah, you got to take the positives with the negatives. I mean, negative things happen all the time in life. This is an extreme one, but negative things happen. So we have to find the light in the darkness, I guess you would say, something like that, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. So I mentioned that well, first of all, let's start with the Results Enthusiast, because I need more information. Who is the Results Enthusiast?
Okay, so one, thank you for asking that question, and also for saying you need more information. I think it's important for brands to know like where the gaps are in their brand so they can grow, and that's one of the things that I'm all about. So the Results Enthusiast is a financial consulting business. I don't like to refer to it like that because it sounds really like financially, and really it's none of that. I won't say it's none of it, but essentially what the Results Enthusiast does is the Results Enthusiast helps people really get to the core of their money mismanagement issues. So the reasons that a lot of people mismanage their money has nothing to do with literacy. I think we've been told over time this story that people don't know, and I think people know equals 2 is 4, right? People know that. So I think a lot of it has to do with, I know that a lot of it has to do with our belief systems about money. There are several different different belief systems. Of course, it can vary between people, but there's several different belief systems that people can have about money that lead to their money mismanagement. Some of them being, if you're a parent, you going broke to help your child who's grown and should be taking care of themselves. Like that lack of boundaries. That could be you feeling like that child won't depend on you for anything other than money. It could also be the reverse. For example, people constantly putting themselves in positions to where they don't obtain money or keep money because they want to rely on someone else, and fearful of what could happen in that relationship if they don't rely on that person. So those are just two belief systems of several others, but I help people get to that core, and then we do the work together as your prosperity partner to help you get to where you want to get to achieve the goals that you've set for yourself.
That's dope. That's dope. People, I'm sure people don't think about that type of stuff. People don't think about it that deeply. People think, I have money, I don't have money. I need a better job. I want to do this. I can't do that. That type of thing, as opposed to deeper thought and actual something that can be resolved.
Yep.
With work. And that's where you come in.
Yeah, because that's the stuff, that when people are looking, and this is kind of, this is my position in the market, is that people don't want to do one thing that works today and is going to break tomorrow. Like we're looking for sustainable long-term change. Like we trying to be somewhere and be there for a minute. And like we're not looking to just, slap a Band-Aid on it. And in my opinion, that's how the majority of the financial industry is, which is why I don't like to refer to myself as a financial consulting business, but marketing.
Understood. I gotta ask. I don't have to ask because I know the answer, but I'm asking for the people. How old are you? Is that
26.
Okay? 26 years old. Now, we mentioned the Results Enthusiast, and I mentioned earlier, which we'll talk about, that you have the nonprofit, and you're also a real estate investor. At 26, that's not bad. That's not bad. What did something happen? Was it something? But I'll put it this way: my nephew has a doctorate. He's works at Wake Forest University. He said one day it clicked in his brain when he was young. He didn't want to live a certain way. He didn't want to be broke, basically. That was his reasoning for doing the things that he did to get to the point where he is now. Did something happen, or was it just a mindset that made you kind of be like, because you're business minded and like to move. So how did you get like that? Like, of course, obviously everybody's not like that.
How did I get like business minded?
How did you get motivated? Yeah, business minded, motivated to do as much as you do at such a young age, which I consider a young age.
Yeah. So I think it's a two-part question. Well, I think it's two questions, and I think I can answer both. I think the first thing being one is that so I'm really into a topic called Enneagram, and I just learned about it like a month ago. So my whole family, I made all of them go and take the test so that everybody could figure out what they were. And it's a very interesting topic, and so you're gonna want to look it up after this. But basically, Enneagram just simply tells you more about who we are innately. And I'm a type 8, and so type 8s are just born leaders. Like I swear, some days I wish that I wish that I wasn't, born an 8, but I am, and I was just born this way. And so with me being an 8, I just naturally am a leader. I naturally have a desire to make a change in the world. And that's nothing that I have to do. I have to put any effort into, And I think that's the whole point of, something that's a strength or a talent, and things that you just, ways that you just are. You don't have to work hard at being you, And so that's one, like, I guess it's just a motivation I was just born with, you know, and I thank God for it, because I thank God for it. But like I said, sometimes, you know, my family puts me in charge of things that I'm like, I don't want to be in charge of that. but you know, it's just naturally who I am. Now I also think though that, I mean, because it's who I am, you know, a lot of the things that I do in business, like I said, I innately want to make a difference in this world. And so in everything that I do, there has to be some form of impact that I'm making on this world. I can't do something just for money. I can't do it. I can't do it. I have, like I said, I'm a type A, but I have a little bit of type 1. And so I have a bit of a high morale. And so that just does not feel right to me. That don't mean that I don't get my penny, because I'm gonna charge what I'm gonna charge, but
That's right.
but that's just, you know, that's just who I am. And I just try to, what I try to do is I just try to, I just be me. And I make sure I maximize me in every single aspect, and just really use all the gifts that God gave me.
That's it right there. Maximize yourself. And I feel like you know who you are, or what you are, how you are, and yeah, maximizing yourself. I think the knowing yourself is probably the beginning of even being able to maximize yourself. It's kind of like the same thing with the results enthusiast on the problem, and being able to go from there.
Yep.
Hmm. I
You
feel a
understand?
theme. I feel a theme. Does that translate to girls like me as well?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. So, our mission.
Wait, before you even start, let's take it. Let's go back.
Okay, let's take it back.
Let's go back to you,
Okay.
younger you. Like a lot from what I remember you saying, a lot of girls like me is girls like you may
That's
have been.
right.
So yeah, explain from here.
Got you. So, um, when let me see, let me think about the angle I want to approach it from. Um, so our mission in Girls Like Me is to help girls between the ages of 11 to 17 increase their self-esteem and their self-efficacy. And so essentially just what that means is that we help girls see their value, and then in the midst of or after we've helped them see their value, we further increase that value by now allowing them to have something tangible to kind of connect that value to. There's, you know, that's great that you love yourself, but what you gonna do after that? Because just loving yourself by itself is not gonna pay the bills.
Right, right.
Also about, you know, you having the attitude and the heart to be able to do things, to reach high levels of achievement. And so for me, I struggled with low self-esteem, and there's different combinations of the two there's different combinations you can have. I was personally a teen with low self-esteem, but with high self-efficacy. And I think that attributes, I think, a lot to just me linking my self-worth to what it was that I could do. And that's something that I've even, you know, I struggle with. Again, it's me, and it's just we got a certain set of gifts, and we got a certain set of struggles. And so it's just something that I struggled with. And so, you know, as a teen, like, well, one, it's very masked to people, because people always say like, oh, you know, like you said, oh, you know who you are, or oh, you know, but you make straight A's, which I didn't. I'm just saying as an example. But
Mm-hmm.
oh, you make good grades in school. Oh, you know, do these extracurricular activities. Oh, you participate at church. Oh, you won these awards. Oh, you were in these pageants. You know, people see everything that you do and attribute that to what it is that you think of yourself. And the two they just don't relate, you know?
Right. Mm-hmm.
And so for me, you know, I was a teen where, like I said, I'm type 8. So people label me as bossy, and, you know, an unhealthy 8 is. And, but instead of kind of being, I mean, that's a different story. I ain't gonna go there, but it I was labeled as bossy. Everybody knows I don't have a problem talking. So very talkative, very high energy. You know, sometimes that was a lot for people, you know. I was a lot for people. And the people that, you know, really were in my environments, you know, with it mostly kind of being, I mean, honestly, even at that age, I had experienced negativity from adults. I mean, people far up to twice, three times my age. You know, I mean, I had 60-year-olds telling you think you all that, don't you? And I'm like, you 60. Look, what business do you have coming to me and telling me something like that? You know, it's just like at this point in my life, I'm like, you must really be unsatisfied with yourself. But that's what it's kind of, you know, that's what it was about. It was just like I was too much for people. And instead of me standing in my truth, I questioned myself and I questioned, like, are they right? Am I too much? You know? Um, and it wasn't until I got to college, to college, that I realized, you know what, like all of those times, like I really was allowing other people to dictate who I would be because it made them comfortable. But in reality, like I'm gonna be me whether you like it or not. And that's just, you know, that's where I stand today. And I think instead of just simply living with these opinions that I'm bossy, how about now I learn for myself how I can maximize that strength in a healthy way? Because I mean, sure, yes, I'm bossy, and that's just who I am, and that's just how I was born. But today, I'm able to cultivate an environment where the same qualities in a bossy person and a leader, I can flip back and forth. If I'm not having a good day, I can be bossy. But at my best, I'm a great leader. And so today, I walk in that truth. And I want the same for other girls who struggle with the same thing, especially those girls who people are linking their achievement to their self-worth. It's just, and people think they can achieve their way out of, you know, achieve their way into loving themselves, but it just ain't gonna happen. And so, but people don't know until you don't find that out until you live a little bit of life, you know. And so I think I can try to be proactive in that effort to help other girls discover and learn more about themselves, and also just stand in their truths for who they are, and just maximize that.
That's great though. That's great though. I was just thinking, I didn't want to get away from the girls like me, but just thinking about what you said, the bossiness, or people saying that the same qualities that you're probably thinking or stating are the qualities of CEOs and other people. It just depends on if it's a man or a woman, how it is accepted, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
You see, obviously, everybody sees it, but do you see the difference in men and women, how they're treated as far as that personality type?
Absolutely, I do. I absolutely do. So I know you wanted to kind of touch a little bit on my college experience, and I think it would be a good time now to kind of float into that,
Go for it.
because I think that, and we can always go back, but I think that definitely is going to provide more context about that experience and to answer your question. And so I went to ODU, and I graduated in 2017. I majored in computer engineering, which is it's a white male dominated field.
Mm.
And so not only am I a Black woman, but I'm a loud and firm Black woman. And so I remember one day being in my lab. I'm sorry, I'll back up. My very first first day of my freshman year, I went into, I'm sorry, this wasn't freshman year, but it was like my sophomore year, but it was my first day of class, of my first coding class. And it was introductory C++. And so the first day I was in a class, we did class, whatever, we walked out, and there was this guy who followed me out, and he was just like, hey, how you doing, or whatever. Like, I was just wondering, like, what you doing here? And I'm like, what are you talking about? What am I doing? I'm getting my education like you get no education. What you talking about? And he just kind of like, I mean, not like that, but I just don't see people like you in these types of courses. And that was kind of my first encounter. And for anyone who's kind of missing it, people like me, he means Black women and the ones that's not nerdy. I don't like Star Wars. I mean, I went on a job interview one time and they were like, so what TV shows do you like? I was like, I like Scandal and Grey's Anatomy. And they was like, so no Star Wars? And I was like, nah.
What?
And so, you know, to see a Black woman like me, who's a real, like I mean, not to insinuate that Black women who have other interests are not Black women, but just an urban Black woman who just, I'm not a nerd. I mean, I'm a nerd at heart, but you know, you can't look at me and say, oh, she's a computer engineer. You know, you can't look at me and say that, and that makes people uncomfortable, you know, sometimes. But in that was my first experience, you know, being in college, where I was just like, okay, like, you know, I know that I was treated differently a little bit because of that. And then my second encounter was in probably about my senior year, you know, among senior classes, you know, about to finish up. And in one of my classes, there was a white male TA, like I said, white dominated. That was pretty much the majority of everybody that was there. And the TA had made a mistake on his code, but the assignment was use the code that the TA provided. And so I used the code the TA provided, and I'm like, excuse me, I need some help because this code is not working. And you know, it's not my job to debug anything that you created, because I'm supposed to have it easy right now. I'm supposed to be using your code. And so essentially someone went in and they did something, you know, they debugged it themselves. And so then the code worked. And he says, oh, you must have copied it wrong. And I'm like, yeah, okay. And I remember just being really livid, you know, that he had the audacity to say that it was because of my lack of intelligence that I couldn't do this particular, you know, assignment. And quite honestly, like I said, like I'm a real strong Black woman. That day I told him, I was like, you better back up 10 feet because it's not about to get pretty. And everybody in the class was looking like, what's going on over there? You know, but that was like my second encounter. And there's definitely a difference between, you know, being a Black woman leader versus my white male counterparts. It is very different.
Okay, so let me ask you this, since we're kind of in between topics. Have you found it to be harder being Black or being a woman when it comes to like dealing with business?
So I honestly think it's harder being like type 8. And I think that being Black, I'm gonna say being a woman doesn't make it easier, but then being Black on top of being a woman and being type 8 doesn't make it easier. Because I think, you know, I think there are some Black women who have the skill of just laying low, and that's just what they do. That's what they want us to do. And I think though some people have that skill, so there may not be as much conflict. But for me, you know, I cause disruptions, you know. I'm holding people accountable. I'm calling people out, and people don't like that. And so I think it's more of those qualities of my personality that makes it difficult for me, and being Black and being a woman doesn't help.
Yeah, I'm imagining that the thought process is, who are you to call me out? You Black and a woman. How you, and I'm not talking about me, obviously, but or it could be me. I mean, in some cases it can be a Black male. It could just be a man, just in general. Who are you to call me out, or to kind of go back to the TA? Who are you to correct me or to think that you know what I don't know, even if I did make a mistake?
Yep, right.
Remind me of it reminds me of Hidden Figures.
Mm-hmm.
Sheldon Cooper. Jim Parsons' character couldn't get things right, and you have Taraji's character with the answers and the better way to get the answers, but he was just not accepting it because of who it was coming from.
Yeah, that movie, I cried on that movie because
Understandable.
I can't remember the time frame if I had graduated yet or not graduated, but that hits home for me. And when I was actually living in Virginia Beach, I knew I wasn't gonna make a home there, so I didn't get super involved. But one of the things I did do while I was there was volunteer with um, Black Girls Code, Black Girls Who Code, and it just it just really hit home for me, just for girls to see like this is possible. Like, ain't nobody think about what they said. Like this is possible, you know.
Just that fact in itself, just to know it's possible. It's the same thing when you see, like I'll say, I mean, it could be in Richmond as well. It is in Richmond, but specifically, I think of Chicago when I think of people talking about they've never been outside of their side of town. They've never been out of the city, let alone where they live. You know, the blocks where they live. So just seeing something's possible makes a difference in your mentality.
It does.
And we can get back to the girls like me, because that's the same thing with them. I assume that's the same thing that you're showing them. Other things are possible outside of whatever it is. Is it necessarily girls from a specific like financial bracket, or is it just whomever?
No. Nope.
Well, that's good. That's good. Because that's another way, similar to sports, where different financial backgrounds or sides of town come together and do something that is beneficial to both, and they kind of get to know each other, and you end up knowing people from different.
Exactly. That's exactly why I created it like that, because I mean I don't necessarily I believe in separation for empowerment, in terms of like sometimes you can't be maybe around someone different if you aren't in the position or headspace to understand the benefit in that. I think for kids, like a lot of them may not be aware of their financial situation. So it's nothing, for them, they're just kind of like, I mean, she a girl too. She's my same age. They don't necessarily say like, oh, she's super rich. Now, I'm not saying they know. You can tell, I'm sure someone comes from, North Side, and they looking at someone who lives in New Kent, or Providence Forge, like, you can tell that they're not from the same block you from. They can tell. But I think, to your point, having that collaboration between the two groups, like, it's not real life to just be with your kind. And I think not only is it teaching you that skill of being able to be adaptable amongst other people, I think it's also, it is also providing you with some exposure to things that you may not have otherwise seen if you had not met that person. And it provides, I think, people to, like, maybe the girls with more opportunity, they can bring the other girls up. And that's what life is all about. We don't get me started. Because we was here to serve each other. We were not here for ourselves, and people forget that. So it's all about trying to help pull each other up. And I think mixing the two groups and not having that income restriction or targeting one specific income bracket allows for that type of that meshing.
Excellent. Speaking of worlds coming together, you earlier in the COVID time, what is it? 2020.
What is this?
2020 COVID. You did RVA Mic Share.
Yeah.
Tell me about. I mean, I saw it, but I I don't even know what it was. I didn't know what it was beforehand. So can you tell me what it was and how you got involved?
Yeah, of course. I feel horrible because I don't remember the creator's name. I know her name is Amanda, but I do not know her last name.
It's okay.
But her first name is Amanda. It was created by Amanda. Her brand Humans for Good. And it was in an effort to allow Black women a platform to share their experiences on to the audiences of their white counterparts. And so I partnered with my good friend Amber Brooks. She is a branding genius. And so we partnered together, and I was able to reach her audience and just teach them a little bit about my experience, my feelings in this time where, not only are we in a pandemic, we're in two pandemics. We in one where there's a virus going around, but also because Black people's lives are not being valued. And that's been going on for decades. And at this particular time, we are tired of it, and there's a whole lot of opinions about how we are projecting our feelings rather than addressing the why we're projecting our feelings in such an extreme manner. So that experience to me was extremely beneficial because I was able to probably sit down and really talk about how I feel, because I don't think I otherwise would have. I think, especially in the Black community, I think a lot of us become very desensitized. And I'm one of those people. I become very desensitized in some capacity because I might not, post about it. I might not have an uproar about it, but like my call to action is the work that I'm doing in this organization. It's not, I'm not going to sit here. I'm not going to complain. I'm going to put my money where my mouth is, and I'm going to do this work to make sure that I'm helping these girls grow, again, helping their efficacy build so that they can be the lawyers, so that they can be the doctors, so that they can be in positions of power to make real change in our communities.
That's real. How was the reception from the audience? Did you feel like was it genuine? Was it good, and was it genuine? Did it feel genuine? Or did it feel like this moment just is the moment? In the same way that people kind of responded when they first saw George Floyd, and their immediate response was shock and awe, even though you could point out 20 other cases in the last 3 years where it was something similar. Yeah.
I will say that I think from some people, it was, they were receptive to it. I think, what I will say, I think overall, I think that lots of white women from that activity, I think that lots of white women were receptive, because I'm not going to lie to you. The support that I have gotten from white women lately is over the top. And yes, it is. I have partnered with some pretty amazing, white women who I just don't know if this would have otherwise transpired. You know what I mean? If there was not a stance for anti-racism and for white people to be, for them to stand out and say, I'm not one of those types of white people. I think if that didn't happen, I don't think I would be, and that's, of course, like anything, that's not to generalize one particular group to say that all of them are that way, because that's not the truth. But I do feel as though, I know I took full advantage of, I didn't do anything different than I would have done before. I'm still gonna hit y'all up. I'm sending emails, what you need, who needs my search, like, who can I help benefit? I was gonna do that anyway, but I think they were more receptive. And I think maybe, I can't speak for them, but maybe some of them are like, oh, she's a Black woman, maybe I'm going to pay more attention, maybe I'm going to actually put forth a greater effort. And I think that they are. I think some of them are. I can't speak for the ones that I'm not connected to, but the women that I'm connected to, I think they're amazing. They're speaking up, they're making sure that they're taking a stand, for me and for my community. And I appreciate that. So I think that many of them were receptive to that movement.
That's excellent. That's excellent. It's tough out here, man. It's tough. I have a hard time. I have a hard time booking company because I don't want to bring somebody in here in this space that I question. I kind of question. Not that everybody has to be the same.
Yeah.
And I've had people that I know voted for 45, and not that they're necessarily super like against black people, but they're comfortable enough where they are that they would still vote the same, as opposed to see the issues, consider making a change. But so I have to be careful for my own self to not bring people into the space that I can't validate, to a certain extent. I don't want anybody surprising me and be like, hey, look, why you got this dude over here and he's over here doing, it's it becomes a little complicated sometimes. But anyway, I did want to get to something, at least something like two things, actually. Two things. We didn't really talk about the real estate, but I'm assuming that some of the relationships that you were referring to have to do with real estate, as well as Girls Like Me and Results Enthusiast.
Yeah. Yep. Some of those relationships definitely tested but built. And I mean, I'll be honest with you, a lot of people I know so I invest in real estate in the property management capacity. So what it is that I do is I manage, well, I'll tell you this. So I help everyday people who own more than one property. I help them have some type of passive income from their properties and keep them cash flowing. And during this pandemic, it's still difficult because there were eviction bans placed. The eviction ban is still in place until the end of the year at the federal level, which many states, even though their eviction bans may have lifted, they are following federal laws on that. And so nobody can be evicted until December 31st of this year, which I anticipate will be extended even further into next year.
Yeah.
And so for me, we received 100% of our rents the entire pandemic.
Really?
For real.
How, Sway?
Because it got me. No. So no, really. The model that I take in my business, and I own a property management firm, and I currently manage. I take care of daily operations right now. But what it is that I do is I focus on relationships. I focus on treating people how they would want to be treated. I build relationships with my clients. Not only do I do that just by, happy birthday and, happy anniversary, just really treating them like they're my clients, because that's how I'm gonna keep my client happy. But also in my selection criteria. I would say that I might be a little bit strict. And so yeah, I might be a little bit strict. And so we don't just look at the numbers like, most companies just look at you on paper and say you good, but I actually take a deeper dive into your behavior trends as a renter. And so, I look at, I'm able to find out at least, are you someone who's going to be, polite to your neighbors? Are you going to be useless with your utilities and just have water running all the time? Are you going to be a hoarder, in the place? Are you going, things like that? I'm able to learn more about you as, you as a renter. And by doing that, I'm able to select people where we can have a really good relationship. And relationship is key to everything. That's the key to success. And so that's really choosing good people and being a good person. It's real simple. It ain't overcomplicated like people try to make it. But that's how I'm able to um, keep my clients cash flowing properties.
Where'd you get that the relationships thing? Is that from family? Like, is that kind of how you thought about it growing up?
I think I arrived to that idea and concept by ruining enough of them. Yep, real, true, real.
What?
You do it enough time, you fail at it enough times, and then you eventually start to learn what to do and what not to do, and just how to be better. So I mean, I think that, and yeah, no, that's the real deal right there.
Somebody told me I should ask you about your new hobbies. You kind of mentioned doing work around the house, but
Yeah.
see, my original question was going to be, uh, what do you like to do? Because you work a lot, and I mean you have fun, but what do you like to do? But someone said that you had some new hobbies, or were trying to get into some new hobbies, and I should ask you about that.
Yeah. So, a couple of my hobbies, like I said, home improvement has become a thing. So my dad he's basically a handyman.
Mr. Fix It.
Yes, he is. And I mean, it's just he's so good at it. And and having my own home and also being, I'm very independent, and so I don't like being dependent on people for things. And so I said, well, I want to change. I want to take down this towel rack in my house, which I told him not to put up when I bought it. I was like, y'all ain't got to put up none of that stuff. I'm gonna take it right back down. It was like, we gotta finish the house. So uh, so I said, well, I'm finally gonna take it down. I took it down, and he showed me a couple times, this is what you need to do. Here's the process. And so I've been covering up holes and some other light stuff, like changing doorknobs and hinges and stuff like that. And so that's become pretty cool to me, just being able to do that. And then painting, I do painting by numbers, and so it's literally off Amazon for like $13, something like that. I just like to sit down with my paintbrush, turn on some music, and just I pick a color, pick a number. If I start off, if I want to do number 15, I just start finding all the number 15s and just going through that and painting is very therapeutic for me. Because I need things that I can think about but are not hard to think about. And so that gives my mind the relief that it needs while still keeping up with the pace that it needs, in order for me to not be so, me to be bored per se. Another one of my hobbies is candle making, like candle making and oil blending.
Candle making.
Yeah.
Like ghosts?
No,
The
candle
candle?
making,
I don't even know if that was a candle or not.
like Yankee Candle. So like just getting the wax and boiling and dyes and fake
Oh,
fragrances, and then actually pouring them into jars and then having candles to burn. I figure I
word?
give my money to Yankee Candle and Bath and Body Works and just do it myself, and especially if it's something that I enjoy doing. So
Wow.
that's the
You
stuff
out
I do.
here, you out here wilding with the candle
Yeah.
making? Okay. I ain't mad at you. I ain't mad at you. All right, so I can't let you get out of here without at least mentioning Beyonce one time.
Please don't.
Look, I don't even have to say much. I don't even know. I don't have anything to say specifically. How about this? If obviously she loves Beyonce. If Beyonce did not exist,
Mm.
there's the thought. If Beyonce did not exist, but if Beyonce did not exist in the musical realm, who would be your go-to artist?
Hmm. So it's a hard question because I feel like, well, here I'm gonna say that I'm gonna lead with this. I'm gonna lead with this and say that I love Beyonce's art. I think I love her as a person more. Yes, I know her, but I'm saying, what she stands for.
Right.
I do watch a lot of her interviews and documentaries, and there's a quote that she says where she says, like, you can't be nice and be the boss. And that's something that, I think about, but I've also had to tailor that, in my own experiences in ways that are applicable to me right now. I got to be nice right now. I got to be nice right now. But when it's time for me to really get stuff done at a higher level, and there are people depending on me to get it done, I don't have time for please and thank yous, and that's just, I'm not there yet, but I do aspire to be. And I think so with Beyonce, it's just like on a whole nother level, and she is just everything she stands for on a whole nother level. It means so much to me. And so if she didn't have a musical catalog, I'm mad they did the verses between Brandy and Monica, because now I feel like people who may not have been Brandy fans are now Brandy fans, which is perfectly fine. I want y'all to bandwagon, but Brandy.
I feel you on that. Somebody had the audacity to say Brandy's songs weren't really hits.
Where?
Wait. Two people had the audacity to say Brandy can sing, but she can't sing like Monica. I was like, bruh. I was like, time out. I mean, I've always liked Monica since she was, however old she was.
Insane.
There is no comparison. There's no comparison. Monica's a great artist. Nothing against her at all, but they used to call Brandy what the singing dictionary or something like that, because she can do whatever.
Yes, that's my girl. I love her. I listen to. I mean, my whole thing is that I can listen to all of her albums, even her newest one, even her newest album. I can listen to front to back, back to front. I mean, she's amazing. Like, she's amazing. I love Brandy.
I would have never guessed that.
Yep.
I don't know where I didn't have an answer in my mind of what I thought you were going to say at all. Like, but Brandy was not. That was not what you were going.
But she's not. The only thing I would say is that she's not an entertainer. She is, like, what she claims too is, she's a poet. And I think great artists are, but she's not an entertainer like Beyonce is. But
I mean,
musically,
like
nobody. You said it. Nobody. That's right.
All right. We're gonna leave it at that. I appreciate you, Dave. Thank you for joining me once again. Déja Coley. Well, she's probably on this side when you see the video. Déja Coley. I'm Source, as always, out here.